Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we will discuss about the evidentiary value of an FIR. So if we are talking about the evidentiary value regarding an FIR, so there are two dimensions attached to it. Number one is substantive aspect and second one is related to the procedural aspect of the Indian Evidence Act.
While talking about the substantive aspects related to Indian Evidence Act, so we have five sections dealing with that. Firstly, we have section 6. As we all know that section 6 talks about the facts relevancy of those facts which forming out of the same transaction. So in case of an FIR, let's say A found the dead body of person B, and A immediately went to police station in order to lodge an FIR without any delay, without any gap. She only took the time just in order to reach the police station from the place of incident. So that statement which has been so made in FIR, that will be considered to be as relevant as per to section 6, because it would be considered to be as undesigned, unfabricated. It would also be considered to be as natural one, the automatic one statement and the spontaneous statement, as A just after seeing the dead body went to the police station in order to lodge an FIR, and there is no delay on the part of A person, then it will be considered to be as a relevant one. Next up we have section 8, that relates to the conduct of a person, and explanation 1 of section 8 clearly says that if a statement has been made and that accompanies the conduct of a person, and along with that it also explains the conduct, in that circumstances let's do it with an example for an FIR. Let's say a person who has been raped and a person went to the police station in order to lodge an FIR. So that statement explains the conduct of lodging an FIR, the conduct of coming to the police station. So the statement which explains the thing, that why that person has come to the police station, so it will be considered to be as your relevant statement for the purpose of section 8. Up next we have section 21, which talks about the admission. Let's say there is a person A who is an accused for the fact that A has committed a murder of person C. If person A himself goes to the police station and lodges the FIR, while lodging an FIR, he made a statement that he was present at the incidental place. So in future, in case any circumstances would arise which is totally against person A regarding that murder only, police is having the authority in order to arrest him, because in the FIR statement he himself admit the thing that was present at the incidental place. So that will be considered to be as admission under section 21. While considering section 27 in respect to an FIR, let's say there is a person A who killed person B, and A directly goes to police station and lodges an FIR against himself because he confessed there regarding the murder of B. So in that circumstances we will say that it will be a kind of a conventional FIR, and that would be hit by section 25 of Indian Evidence Act. But there may be a chances of a deemed custody, so it would be hit by section 26. But in case A declares in his statement about the place of dead body or about the place of weapon which he used in order to kill that person B, in that circumstances the police officer would go to that place, and if it in case the object would discover, in that circumstances only that statement which clearly identifies that yes, at that place this object has been kept, at that place the body of the person B lies. So this statement would be considered to be as relevant for the matter of section 27. While talking about the section 32nd clause 1, that is related to the dying declaration, so in what circumstances we would say that the FIR would be considered to be as a dying declaration? Let's say person A murdered person B by stabbing him. So in this situation, B was not able to go to the hospital himself. So some other person came and took him to the hospital, where police officer record the statement of the victim B, and also police officer obtained a signature of victim. So that statement with signature would be considered to be as an FIR, and in case that victim dies, that FIR would be considered to be as a dying declaration. Regarding procedural aspect, we have three sections of Indian Evidence Act: section 145, 157, 159 and 160. See, whenever any witness made any statement before the police officer and signed that thing, so it will become an FIR, and afterwards investigation starts. So here the statement which has been so given by the witness would not be hit by 162 because firstly then FIR has been made. Therefore, that witness called by the court while trialing the case in order to give testimony before the court. So there would be two circumstances. Number one is the witness will give the same statement which has been so given as an FIR. Number second, the witness would give a statement which completely opposite or completely, you can say, contradict to the statement which has been so made in FIR. In the former circumstances, if the statement would remain the same as of FIR, then that statement would be used by the prosecution for corroboration under 157 section of Indian Evidence Act. In case the witness gives the opposite statement as to the FIR, in that circumstances the defense side can use that particular statement which has been given before the court under section 145 of Indian Evidence Act, not only for just cross examination, but also the defense can use that statement to contradict the FIR. Now, what if the witness is not able to recall the exact details of the incidents upon which the FIR has been made? So, in that matter, the prosecution is entitled section 159 and 160 of Indian Evidence Act in order to present the FIR before the witness in order to recall his memory, and afterwards the same situation would arise whether the witness would give the same statement as of an FIR or it will contradict. So this is regarding the procedural aspect of Evidence Act related to an FIR.
So this is all about today's discussion. In upcoming video lecture, we will discuss about the consequences in case of delay in lodging an FIR. So guys, thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel for more new videos. Thank you.